us. Lord, have mercy upon us. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, as we forgive and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Almighty God, who in thy wisdom and goodness hast appointed the office of rulers and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of men and women, we beseech thee to behold with thy abundant favor us thy servants, whom thou hast been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in these islands. That thy blessing descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote thy honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of these islands, and those whose interests thou hast committed to our charge. And this we beg for Jesus Christ's sake. Amen. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us all evermore. Amen.
Amen. Members, the House is not in session. Okay. Members, the minutes of the 22nd of May have been circulated. Are there any amendments required? There are none. The minutes will be printed as confirmed. Messages from the governor? There are none. Announcements by the speaker? We've been informed that MP Leroy Bean is absent today. Thank you. Messages from the Senate? There are none. Papers and communications. There are 4 papers this morning. The first is in the name of the Deputy Premier. Premier?
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Good morning.
Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to attach and submit for the information of the Honorable House of Assembly the Bermuda Housing Trust audited financial statements for fiscal year ending 31st of March, 2024.
Thank you. Junior Minister of Finance has a second.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Morning.
I have the honor to attach and submit for the information of the Honorable House of Assembly, the ministers and members of the legislature pension fund actuarial valuation as at March 31st, 2020.
And you'll do your second one?
I have the honor to attach and submit for the information of the Honorable House of Assembly the Public Service Superannuation Fund actuarial valuation as at 31st of March, 2020. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next is in the Minister of Labor and Economy. Minister.
Pleasant good morning to you, Mr. Speaker.
Morning.
Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to attach and submit for the information of the Honorable House of Assembly the annual report of the Registry General for the year ended 31st December 2023 in accordance with Section 19 of the Registration, Birth and Death Act 1949.
Thank you. That's the end of the papers to be introduced this morning. The next are petitions. There are none. Statements by ministers and junior ministers. We have 9 such statements this morning. The first, again, is in the name of Deputy Premier. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to provide this Honorable House and the public with an update on the Bermuda Housing Trust. I am pleased to inform this Honorable House that the Trust has achieved yet another successive clean and unqualified audit for the financial year ended March 31st, 2024. The audit was once again conducted by the Office of the Auditor General, and the trustees are justifiably proud of this outcome. Mr. Speaker, honorable members will recall that the Bermuda Housing Trust was established by statute 60 years ago in 1965. to provide affordable rental accommodation for seniors capable of living independently. Today, the trust comprises 5 properties island-wide, including Hayden Park, Dr. Can Park, Elizabeth Hills, Purvis Park, and Ferguson Park, together housing approximately 200 seniors. While the audited financial statements reflect a sound financial position, the trustees have requested that I also communicate to their caution. This picture must be considered in context. Financial pressures loom large and challenges persist in fulfilling their mandate to provide affordable, quality rental accommodation for Bermuda seniors. The first of these challenges relates to demographics. The demand for senior housing is rising. As members are aware, Bermuda's population is aging, with projections indicating that by 2026, 1 in 4 residents will be aged 65 years or older. Seniors today are living longer and healthier lives. They value and require affordable accommodation that not only meets their financial needs, but also supports independent living, a goal we all share for our parents and one day even for ourselves. Currently, the trust maintains a waiting list of between 50 and 100 qualified applicants. Applications, I note, are only accepted from individuals aged 65 and above. A second challenge lies in balancing priority placements for those in urgent need while maintaining the current housing stock. This is no easy task. Even more difficult is the trust's effort to continue its long-standing policy of not increasing rent for sitting tenants, regardless of the length of tenancy. In today's climate of rising prices, this is no small achievement. Although this policy has largely been maintained, the trustees have, out of necessity, introduced marginal rent increases applicable only to new tenants. These increases are due to the mounting cost of maintaining an aging housing inventory. Contractors for significant maintenance work are not always easily secured, and scheduling must be carefully managed around the needs of the elderly tenants. Mr. Speaker, despite these constraints, I am pleased to report progress. Roof repairs at Dr. Can Park, the Trust's largest property, have been completed, and necessary recaulking and sealing work is now underway to address long-standing leak issues. This essential work has taken longer than expected, and I commend the patience and understanding of the residents who have endured these delays. The Trust has rightly prioritized sealing and securing the exterior before addressing interior renovations, particularly in current vacant units. In support of this work, the then Ministry of Public Works provided private engineering resources to assist with the oversight of the caulking and painting project. The trustees have asked me to extend their appreciation for the support received from my predecessor in housing, Lieutenant Colonel, the Honorable David A. Birch, OBE, JP. Additionally, the Trust has strengthened its operations with the appointment of an executive director, Ms. Chandra Arandjolovic. Mr. Speaker, I will say that I've always had a problem pronouncing this lady's last name, as we did spend a lot of time in our younger years as teenagers, along with a few other of my young friends at the time. But she is significantly improving business continuity, regulatory compliance, and operational oversight. Mr. Speaker, the trustees have also formalized a long-standing part-time role into a full-time position, Ms. Judy Knight, who for over a decade provided valuable support to tenants, has stepped down, and the position has been taken up by Ms. Quayante Watson as the new rental agent. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that the Bermuda Housing Trust currently receives no direct financial support from the government. Nevertheless, last year, the Ministry of Public Works together with the Bermuda Housing Corporation, provided invaluable support through architectural, engineering, project management, and maintenance services, for which the trustees are deeply grateful. Looking ahead, I am committed to strengthening the partnership between the Bermuda Housing Trust and the Bermuda Housing Corporation to ensure we continue delivering the highest level of assistance possible. Finally, in my capacity as minister, I would like to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to the dedicated trustees of the Bermuda Housing Trust for their unwavering commitment to serving our seniors. And I would especially like to acknowledge the Honorable Joan Barrett, the chairman, Mrs. Rochelle Simons, deputy chair, Mr. Anthony Machette, Mr. Daniel Robinson, Mr. Juan Smith, Mr. Marco Bertelli, and Mr. Alexander Abbott. And special thanks to retired trustee, Ms. Thelma Hart, for her many years of service. Mr. Speaker, the work of the Bermuda Housing Trust is vital to the well-being and dignity of our seniors. Their legacy is one of compassion, service, and financial prudence. As the minister responsible, I am committed to supporting the trust as it continues to fulfill this essential mission. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. These apps, Mr. Speaker, is crazy. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to advise the honorable members of the completion of the actuarial reviews of the Public Service Superannuation Fund, PSSF, and the ministers and members of the Legislative Pension Fund, which we title MMLPF. For the year ended March 31st, 2020, which we're tabled in this honorable house today. Mr. Speaker, I acknowledge that the 2023 actuarial reviews for both the Public Superannuation Fund and the ministers and members of the Legislative Pension Fund were tabled in the House on March 21st, 2025. It was at that time inquiries, I don't remember, I believe, Decuda, regarding the 2020 actuarial reviews were made. Upon investigation, I became aware that the reports had not been tabled. Once this oversight was identified, the Ministry of Finance reviewed its records and found that although the actuarial reviews were completed in December 2020, they were never presented, something which we apologize to this honorable house. Mr. Speaker, the PSSF provides contributory defined pensions to Bermuda Public Service employees and to employees of some public authorities. The purpose of the actuarial review is to determine the going concern of the financial position of the PSSF, to estimate the costs of the benefit being accrued during the period up to the next evaluation date, and to determine the adequacy of the PSSF contribution rate. The report includes a 3-year projection of the funded ratio based on assets, actuarial liabilities, and normal costs projected to March 31st, 2023. Items of note regarding the actuarial reviews are as follows. The total invested assets of the fund at March 31st, 2020 was $559 million. March 31st, 2017, 571 million. This represents a 11.8 million or 2.06% decrease since the 2017 review. Contribution income for the year ended March 31st, 2020 was 61.9 million. March 2017, 59.8 million. And benefit payments and refunds total 86.2 million. March 2017, 81.9 million. There were 4,476 active members contributing to the fund as at March 2020. And March 2017, there was 4,312. And 3,188 March 2017. Retirees who were receiving a benefit. The PSS Act was amended in 2019 to change the compulsory retirement age from age 65 to 68 years for all employees except for the police, fire officers, prison officers, judges, and teachers. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the government enacted the Public Service Superannuation Temporary Amendment Act 2020 to provide a one-year suspension of the government's contributions and an optional suspension of contributors' contribution. The PSSF is not fully funded on the going concern basis. As at March 31st, 2020, the net fund assets were $609.74 million, and the accrued benefit obligation was $1.6 billion. The addition of the unamortized experience gain of $12.84 million gives the pension liability of $1.0 billion recorded and disclosed in March 31st, 2020 auditor statements of the consolidated fund. The 3-year projected financial position to March 31st, 2023 was done using the economic and demographic assumptions which were used for the March 2017 evaluation. Taking account of the one-year suspension, the funded ratio of the PSSF at March 31st, 2020 was 37.3%, and this is projected to decline to 30.3% at March 31st, 2023. The funded ratio measures the actuarial value of the assets of the pension plan divided by the actuarial liabilities. Ministers and members of the Legislature Pension Fund. The MMLPF provides contributory defined pensions to all ministers and members of the Legislature of Bermuda. Benefits in respect of service before April 1st, 1988 are paid from the Consolidated Fund. The purpose of the report on the actuarial review is to determine the going concern financial position of MMLPF. To estimate the cost of the benefit being accrued under the MMLPF during the period up until the next valuation, to determine the adequacy of the fund contribution rate, and to estimate the future benefits payments under the Consolidated Fund of the Government of Bermuda. The report includes a 3-year projection of the financial position of the fund, excluding benefits covered by the Consolidated Fund to March 31st, 2023. Items of note regarding the actuarial review are as follows. There were 48 active members contributing to the fund as at March 2020. March 2017, there were 46 active members and 59 retirees, spouses, and retirees of other beneficiaries who were receiving a benefit. At March 31st, 2020, the valuation date, the main assets of the fund consisted of amount due from the Consolidated Fund of $11.06 million. And as of March 2017, $12.75 million. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the government enacted the Ministers and Members of the Legislature Salary and Pensions Amendment Act 2020 to provide for a 1-year suspension of the government's contributions and an optional 1-year suspension of a member's contribution. The MMLP fund is not fully funded on the going concern basis. The members and government contributions do not cover the normal cost of benefits earned each year under the fund. The funding ratio of at March 2020 was 36.7%. There was a projection to decrease to 29.8% as of March 2023. Mr. Speaker, the benefit payments made from all the pension plans are important to ongoing financial stability and security, along with the health of the seniors in our society. Mr. Speaker, honorable members are advised that the March 31st, 2023 next actuarial reviews of the PSSF and the MMLPF were tabled in the House of Assembly, House of the Legislature, on March 31st, 2025. And the next actuarial review is scheduled for the period March 31st, 2026 for both of the funds. Mr. Speaker, as outlined in my 24-25, as outlined in the 2024-25 and 25-26 budget statement, the government acknowledges the critical need for pension reform, and has undertaken extensive analysis and consultation on this issue. After consulting with all relevant stakeholders, several recommendations have been agreed upon to address the increased unfunded liabilities of the PSSF. These recommendations will be presented to the House during the budget session, ensuring that commitments to current and future public service retirees can be honored. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Members, the next statement this morning is from the Minister of Labor, of Economy and Labor. Mr. Hayward.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Morning.
I am pleased to introduce in the Honorable House today a bill entitled the Department of Labor Act 2025, which provides for the continuation of the Department of Labor and establishes the Director of Labor as the public officer responsible for the supervision of the Department of Labor, subject to general direction and control of the Minister responsible for labor relations. Mr. Speaker, prior to July 2017, the Labor Relations section was a section within the Department of Workforce Development. In July 2017, after the general election, the section was separated from the Department of Workforce Development and placed within the Ministry of Home Affairs headquarters as the standalone government section, headed by the Manager of Labor Relations. All employment and labor-related legislation was amended to provide the manager with specific legislative responsibilities that were previously held by the Director of Workforce Development. Mr. Speaker, the members of this Honorable House may recall that in March 2023, Cabinet approved the transition of the Labor Relations section to the Department of Labor, and the Director of Labor post, amongst other posts, were created to ensure the efficient operation and management of the department. Mr. Speaker, the creation of the new department meant that Employment and Labor Code of Bermuda, comprising the Employment Act 2000 and the Trade Union and Labor Relations Consolidation Act 2021, and corresponding and consequential legislation, regulations, and orders required amending correctly reference the department by name and reflect the continuation of the department. This bill does exactly that. Mr. Speaker, by establishing the Director of Labor as a public officer with supervision over the Department of Labor, this bill also ensures that the legislative responsibility for the department, including but not limited to receiving all employment complaints and labor-related disputes, referring unresolved employment matters to the Employment and Labor Relations Tribunal or to the Minister responsible for labor relations, imposing civil penalties for contravention of the Employment Act 2000, and the granting and refusal of a union as an exclusive bargaining agent in respect to an application for union certification is correctly assigned to the head of department and not the Manager of Labor Relations, which is a direct report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister. Would you like to do, I believe the next statement is also yours. Would you like to do your second statement? Excuse me.
Mr. Speaker, today I rise to introduce the annual report of the Registry General for the year ended December 31st, 2023. The Registry General recognizes the essential role that vital statistical information plays in the planning for the provision of services in areas such as tourism, health, education, and housing, to name a few, and has performed his duties to a high standard in the recording, collating, and presenting of the data to include in the annual report. Mr. Speaker, in accordance with Section 19 of the Registration, Births and Deaths Act 1949, the Registry General shall within 90 days after the expiration of each calendar year compile for publication in such form and manner as the Minister may approve a summary of births and deaths which occurred during the year, together with the general report on the increase or decrease of the population of Bermuda, pursuant to Section 35 of the Marriage Act 1944. The Registry General is also required to publish a summary of marriages conducted each year. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, the annual report is being introduced late, due to a number of circumstances, including human resources and the need to clarify data. In preparation of the annual report, Mr. Speaker, the registrar has relied on information received from the Records Office of the King Edward VII Memorial Hospital relating to births, from local funeral directors, medical practitioners, and the coroner's office in relation to deaths, from local domestic partnership officers in relation to domestic partnerships, and from local marriage officers and masters of Bermuda registered ships in relation to local and maritime marriages, respectively. Mr. Speaker, the report, which details primarily with the vital statistics pertaining to the island's residential population, indicates that there has been a slight decrease in the number of births. In 2023, there were 436 births, a decrease of 43 or 9% over the 479 births recorded in 2022. Also, the live birth rate of the population has decreased by 0.6%. Has decreased by 0.6 points per thousand, from 7.5 in 2022 to 6.9 in 2023. There were no home births or babies born at the residence of the parents for the year ending 2023, which was a decrease of 2 from the number of babies born at home in 2022. Mr. Speaker, the distribution of live births by nationality based on information provided by the parents at the time of registration of their child's birth for 2023 reflects 75.7%, or 330 of the total live births have at least one Bermudian parent. In 2023, 106 or 24.3 of the births have parents who are both non-Bermudian. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues are advised that in 2023, 622 deaths were recorded amongst residents, a death rate of 9.8 per thousand of the population. For 2023 reflects an increase of 37 or 6.3% from 585 recorded in 2022. The report also indicates that there were 12 deaths in respect of non-resident persons, which brings the total number of deaths recorded for 2023 to 634. Also, there was one stillbirth recorded for the 2023 period. Mr. Speaker, it should be noted that the estimated population figures in the report only takes into account registered births and deaths and not migration, because it is not available. This means that estimates in the report are not indicative of actual population levels. The next opportunity of an accurate population count will be the 2026 census. Mr. Speaker, for the year ending 31st of December 2023, there were 310 marriages performed in Bermuda, a 26 or 7.7% decrease from the 336 marriages recorded in 2022. The decrease may be attributed to a number of unknown factors or reasons as to why, but there was no deterring the interest of couples that did desire to marry that year. During 2023, marriages between parties who were both non-residents accounted for only 109 or 35.2% of the total 310. This figure for the fourth consecutive year breaks the trend where marriages between non-residents previously exceeded the number of marriages between residents and Bermudian and marriages between residents and non-resident parties. The report also shows that there were 157 marriages between parties who were both resident and 44 marriages between a resident and a non-resident. Mr. Speaker, of the 310 local marriages recorded in 2023, none were same-sex marriages. In 2023, there were 5 domestic partnership unions recorded for the period. All 5 domestic partnership unions were formalized at the Registry General's office. Mr. Speaker, 329 marriages were performed on board 28 Bermuda registered ships in 2023. This total represents an increase of 52 or 16% from the 2022 total of 277. The increase is due to the efforts of the cruise line industry to expand and improve upon services for bedding on board their ships. The cumulative number of marriages, local and maritime, processed through the Registry General for the year ending 31st of December 2023 was 639 as compared to 613 for the year ending 2022. Mr. Speaker, the annual report seeks to provide an illustrated statistical digest of vital events such as live births, deaths, stillbirths, marriages, domestic partnerships, adoptions, re-registration of births for the year ended 31st of December 2023. In closing, Mr. Speaker, the annual report of the Registry General for the year ended December 31st, 2024 is being compiled, and I expect to present that report in the second quarter of this fiscal year. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Members, the next statement this morning is in the name of the Minister of Youth, Social Development, and Seniors. Minister.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise this morning to inform this honorable House that the month of May is celebrated as Foster Care Month. The Department of Child and Family Services uses the month of May to not only recruit foster parents, but also to honor Bermuda's foster parents. The foster care team has an active month of recruitment activities planned that began on May 1st, with a front page feature in the Royal Gazette highlighting the positive experiences of 2 foster families. Mr. Speaker, on the evening of May 2nd, the Department of Child and Family Services staff welcomed Mr. Antonio Great to Bermuda. Mr. Great is an author, motivational speaker, husband, and father who's booked by numerous conferences, schools, and welfare agencies to share his story. Mr. Great is a visionary who grew up on the south side of Chicago, where his formative years were shaped in the foster care system. Mr. Great believes that the way we view our children who are in the foster care system is the key for development of their success in life. Mr. Speaker, on Sunday, May 4th, DCFS held the annual Foster Parent Appreciation Tea, where Mr. Great was the invited keynote speaker. He gave a powerful, motivational, and inspirational message on the topic, fostering hope. Mr. Great shared his life story growing up in Chicago, being in kinship and foster care and aging out of the foster care system. He spoke about his mother's addiction to drugs and not having his father in his life, and the importance of connections for children who have experienced trauma. Mr. Great stressed the vital role that kinship parents, foster parents, and social workers play in the life of children in care. He reminded those present to always be cognizant of the trauma that the children that they are caring for have gone through, though no fault of their own, and the importance of not giving up on them. Mr. Speaker, foster parents were gifted with copies of Mr. Great's book, The Power of One, of which he graciously signed copies for our foster parents. During the appreciation tea, persons were treated to entertaining music on steel pan with Bermudian musician Miss Laurie Talbot, who was representing the group The Onion Patch Crew. Mr. Speaker, DCFS presented 2 spotlight awards at the appreciation tea for foster care parents. Mr. and Mrs. Kabir and Melanie Dill were highlighted and appreciated as foster care parents for the vital role they played during a very critical time when the respite they provided to a teen boy served as a hands-on stabilizer for the teen, while DCFS solidified an intensive clinical plan for him. It was noted that Mr. and Mrs. Dill covered the crisis while maintaining a long-term kinship care placement, which saw them having to blend the care provided for the 2 boys that they cared for. Another foster parent couple, Mr. and Mrs. Shlomo and Zipporah Yeshron, received a formal salute from DCFS for their 18-year commitment to their foster son. The accolades placed upon this couple surrounded their never-ending dedication to the foster care child, who has been filled with numerous challenges, inclusive of ongoing advocacy for his special school plan and working with DCFS continuously to make sure that his vast medical needs, including several overseas appointments, have been met. Mr. Speaker, this week, Monday, May 5th, Mr. Great presented a professional development and practice enhancement session at the BUEI for the DCFS family and staff, family court, magistrates, staff from the police services, therapists, and other stakeholders. This was a 2-hour interactive and engaging message on the topic of how labels can negatively impact children socially and emotionally. Mr. Great's message moved all stakeholders. Some of the feedback from stakeholders was reflective of the engaging professional development session and included the following. Antonio's presentation was insightful and informative as he shared his journey. It reminded me of why I have to support our young people. If I had to give this presentation a topic name, it would be the power of one. How each of us as professionals has the power to make a difference in supporting a young person, knowing our why, being intentional, and understanding the power of labels, both positive and negative. His passionate and personal message was inspiring, motivating all to remember their why as we show up consistently for clients. Even when it gets hard, we need to work from our hearts. Mr. Great was extremely touched and inspired by the close to 50 online reviews that were uploaded within an hour after the professional development session, as all stakeholders were provided with the link. Mr. Speaker, this week, Monday evening, May 5th, Mr. Great had an empowering and dynamic interaction session with the young adults at the Independent Living Program. Those youth who have aged out of the care of DCFS director, he shared with our young adults the significance of seeds of greatness. In that seeds can grow even if they have been through adverse situations. The session was dynamic and very powerful, having someone talk about their lived experience similar to that of our youth, which gave them hope. Mr. Speaker, during the month, all of the government social media platforms will be promoting foster parents and recruitment. While we are pleased and thankful for the current pool of foster care parents who are to be commended for the role that they play in providing stability to our foster children, we must express our plea. We need more foster care parents. Foster care parents open their hearts and their homes by taking in children who need nurturing, guidance, and love. These children have different experiences and need care for a variety of reasons. Foster care parents fill that gap with the ongoing support of the Department of Child and Family Services. At present, there are 56 foster care families. The department needs 10 to 12 more foster care families for children of all ages, from birth to teenagers. There is also a need for foster care parents for children with special needs. Mr. Speaker, I close by stating that our children, vulnerable for many reasons, need us. The Ministry of Youth, Social Development, and Seniors takes this time on behalf of all the children in foster care to thank those individuals and families who have opened their homes and have given of themselves to make a difference in the lives of children. We encourage more people within our community to become foster care parents. This will help the Department of Child and Family Services in its efforts to provide caring, safe, nurturing homes for children when their families are unable to care for them. Mr. Speaker, in recognition of Foster Care Month, there will be a series of additional radio spots and a BBC interview that have been booked. However, I encourage all members of this honorable house, along with all persons within the community, to salute our foster care parents during the entire month of May and beyond. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Members, the next statement this morning is by the Minister of Works. Minister?
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Good morning.
Mr. Speaker, everywhere I go, I hear the same question. What is being done about our roads? Whether it's the bumpy drive to work, having to navigate through potholes, or the uneven surfaces near school zones, Bermudians are understandably concerned. The condition of our roads affects how we move, how safe we feel, and how we experience life on this island. This government has heard the people loud and clear, and today I rise to provide an update on the work we have done, the challenges we continue to navigate, and most importantly, the action we are taking to deliver safer, smoother, and more reliable roads. Mr. Speaker, let me begin with a recent success. I want to commend the ministry's technical officers for their outstanding work in completing critical safety improvements at Scour Hill. As honorable members will recall, this project became necessary due to the deterioration of the retaining wall, originally built using outdated construction methods. The pace of deterioration had become alarming, undermining the adjacent road and posed a serious risk to motorists and area residents. Thanks to the professionalism and dedication of our teams, the new wall was completed on time and within budget. While carrying out the road surface repairs near Lantana Road, we also noticed and received feedback regarding a dip that was causing concern for motorists. I'm pleased to advise this honorable House that this has now been corrected, and our crews are currently completing final reinstatement works. Weather permitting, all remaining works in the area are expected to be completed by the end of next week. I want to extend my sincere thanks to the residents of the area for their patience, and especially to those who generously allowed traffic to be rerouted through their properties during the construction period. Your cooperation is truly appreciated. Mr. Speaker, the improvements at Scour Hill are just one of a much larger effort. The people of Bermuda expect and deserve a road network that is safe, smooth, and modern. That's why the ministry has been working diligently to deliver a sustained island-wide program of road improvements. Over the past 2 years, we have made significant progress in resurfacing critical sections, including Collectors Hill, South Shore Road in Southampton, Middle Road from Flats Village to Store Hill, the untrenched lane of Middle Road in Warwick, Middle Road in Southampton from Georges Bay to Evans Bay, and it includes Georges Bay Road, and Somerset Road from Elis Bay through to Georges Bay, and we are not stopping there. Mr. Speaker, one of the key lessons learned in recent years is the importance of coordination. Paving a road today only to trench it next month is costly, frustrating, and counterproductive. That's why we are working closely with our utility partners to ensure critical underground works are completed before we repave. This approach helps us to avoid wasted time, money, and effort, and ensures that once a road is repaved, it stays that way for the long term. This coordination has required us to delay projects in areas such as near Whitney Middle School, Cavendish Road, and Flora Duffy Hill, but I firmly believe it is the right decision. For example, near Whitney Middle School, shallow communication lines must be relocated before milling can proceed without risking service disruption. We've given the provider the opportunity to complete this work before we return to repave. In Warwick and Southampton, Belco is undertaking major upgrades to its underground network. That work is nearly complete, but the ground must now settle before repaving can begin. Similarly, trenching is planned by local utility providers at Flora Duffy Hill and Cavendish Road, and so our paving works have been postponed accordingly. Mr. Speaker, with that said, and based on the current coordination, our updated paving schedule includes later this month, upon completion of works at Scour Hill, the team will begin work in St. George's from York Street to Ferry Reach. Next, our team will address North Shore Road from the Shelley Bay Railway site, heading west, past the aquarium, and through Flats Village. Then our team will repave Middle Road in Smiths from North Shore to Store Hill once the mentioned utility works are completed. This updated schedule is expected to carry us through to fall of 2025. And as minister, I will continue to keep the public informed as we progress. Mr. Speaker, I must also thank Surface Experts Limited, formerly East End Asphalt Company Limited, for their assistance as well. We have maintained a healthy relationship over the years, and as we plan ahead, there may be opportunities to work with them on other projects as well. Mr. Speaker, we have also ramped up patching and pothole response. Weekend crews are being deployed as needed, and we strongly encourage members of the public to report potholes directly to potholes@gov.bm. This is the fastest and most effective way to receive a response. While we understand the urge to post concerns on social media or message officers directly, using the dedicated email ensures issues are tracked, assigned, and addressed as efficiently as possible. Mr. Speaker, in terms of traffic signals, the control cabinets, essentially the brains of the systems for Marsh Folly and St. John's Road, are en route and expected to arrive later this month. Components for Crow Lane are in production and anticipated by the end of the month, with installation to follow shortly thereafter. Roadside infrastructure works are ongoing as well. Fence repairs continue along North Shore Road, and Cabinet has approved the purchase of new aluminum guardrails for high-risk areas such as Shark Hill Bend, Harrington Sound, and Barker's Hill. We've expanded our workforce as well. Thanks to programs launched by my predecessor, Lieutenant Colonel David Birch, we now have 18 solo sweepers and dedicated vegetation crews working across the island. In fact, this year's budget includes funding to further expand that program. Private landscaping contractors and low-risk prison crew have also been instrumental, particularly in the East End, clearing vegetation, maintaining road edges, and contributing to the rehabilitation and reintegration of inmates. These crews will resume operations in June after a short pause. Mr. Speaker, pedestrian safety remains a key priority. Flashing beacons are being installed at crossings in Somerset Village and Mullet Bay, and new traffic lights are under construction at the aquarium. These modern crossings, modeled after the one at Harmony Club, provide clearer signals and safer passage for all road users. Mr. Speaker, we cannot speak about the future of our roads without addressing the limitations of our current asphalt infrastructure. Our asphalt plant is outdated. To prevent breakdowns, we must limit operations to 4 days a week and cap production at 100 tons per day. These constraints affect the pace at which we can deliver new paving. That is why this government took decisive action, entering into an agreement with Aztec Industries to procure a brand new asphalt plant, screening equipment, and paving machinery, along with long-term maintenance support. 3 new machines, an asphalt paver, milling machine, and material transfer vehicle, are already en route and expected to arrive on May 17th. The screening plant is complete and ready for pre-delivery inspection. Site works at the plant location are progressing, and we expect to begin equipment installation in October. The asphalt plant itself, complete with silos, burners, and tanks, is currently undergoing final inspection and will begin arriving in July. It is important to note that once the new asphalt plant arrives, it will take several months to construct, and therefore we anticipate the plant will be operational in the first quarter of 2026. Mr. Speaker, this government has heard the calls for better roads, and we are delivering. We have made progress while accepting there is still much more to be done. We are coordinating with our utility companies. We are investing in new equipment. And most importantly, we are listening to the people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Members, the next statement this morning is in the name of the Minister of Home Affairs. Minister?
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Morning.
This morning, I rise to inform this honorable House of the government's participation in the 2025 Caribbean Renewable Energy Forum, CREF, which took place May 7th and concluded today, May 9th in Miami, Florida. Now in its 17th year, CREF continues to be a key event, bringing together ministers, regulators, utilities, investors, and international development partners, united by a shared commitment to climate resilience and energy affordability. As my first overseas engagement as Minister of Home Affairs, CREF offered an invaluable opportunity to represent Bermuda's interest on the international stage, alongside our Caribbean neighbors in joint pursuit of a fairer, cleaner energy future. Mr. Speaker, Bermuda's participation in CREF was grounded in the recognition that our island faces complex barriers to energy equity, from our resilience to imported fossil fuels to the constraints of limited land and aging infrastructure. Through consultation, target setting, and disciplined execution, we will continue to champion a strategy that modernizes Bermuda's power sector with the goal of lowering household costs, reducing emissions, and building systems resilience. Mr. Speaker, CREF further provided a platform to share updates on Bermuda's clean energy progress, including our proposed integrated resource plan and the successes from the electrification of our public bus fleet through the support of Rocky Mountain Institute and other initiatives. While still under regulatory review, this proposed IRP builds on the foundation of the existing IRP and is further informed by technological advancements and critical insights that better inform Bermuda's prospective energy mix. Upon the completion of the regulatory authority's review process, I look forward to updating this honorable House. Mr. Speaker, while attending CREF, I had the privilege of participating in the Women in Renewable Energy Luncheon and the ministerial roundtable entitled Diverse Pathways to Energy Transition in the Caribbean. I joined ministerial colleagues from islands large and small to discuss our respective policy approaches, regulatory tools, and investment environments. It was a privilege to share Bermuda's experience and our ambition to balance affordability with innovation, to integrate public trust through education, and to ensure that our regulatory and legislative environments remains agile enough to accommodate these emerging technologies and financial models. This roundtable affirmed that while no two jurisdictions are identical, our region is strongest when we learn from one another and confront these shared challenges together. Mr. Speaker, I had a bilateral meeting with the United Kingdom's Undersecretary for Energy Security and Net Zero, Undersecretary McCarthy, during which Undersecretary McCarthy expressed an interest to better support Bermuda through facilitating greater access to resources to advance our energy agenda. Mr. Speaker, as Bermuda continues its work to finalize the proposed IRP through the RA, expand solar deployment, explore the feasibility of innovative technologies, and strengthen community resilience, CRAF served as a powerful reminder that we are not navigating this path alone. We are part of a broader movement to redefine energy as a public good, not a luxury, and as a platform to advance equity, not exclusion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Would you like to do your second statement?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this morning I rise to update this honorable members on the bulk generation soil use installation license. Honorable members may recall that in September 2024, the government tabled the Electricity Amendment Act 2024, which introduced a new licensing framework under the Electricity Act 2016 for developments generating electricity in excess of 500 kilowatts. This new license, referred to as Bulk Generation Soil Use Installation or Big SUI license, was created to provide a pathway for entities to produce renewable electricity for their own use at their principal location. Mr. Speaker, the intent of this license was to address critical energy challenges faced by important public institutions such as the National Sports Center, which offers accessible services to the public but faces high operational costs, including overhead electricity expenses. Similar challenges are faced by other government facilities and statutory bodies that provide affordable public services. These institutions must be empowered to reduce their energy expenses to maintain their operations that benefit the people of Bermuda. I am pleased to update this honorable House that the regulatory authority is now in a position to accept applications for these licenses. Mr. Speaker, under the conditions of the Big SUI license, the license holder is permitted to generate electricity above the 500 kilowatt threshold solely for its own use at the principal location. However, to protect the financial stability of the electricity grid, the license limits the amount of electricity that may be sold from the transmission, distribution, and retail licensee, no more than 30% of the total electricity generated in any given month. Any electricity generated above the limit cannot be sold and will not be compensated. This condition ensures that the license is used primarily for self-supply and is not a backdoor mechanism for commercial resale. Mr. Speaker, while the Big SUI license is an important step in helping government departments and large institutions to reduce their energy expenses, the government must also protect those residential customers who continue to rely fully on the grid and who may not have the financial means to invest in solar systems. If the cost of maintaining the grid is shifted away from large consumers who generate and who self-generate and towards households who cannot, the result will be unfair burden on those least able to pay. And for this reason, the government and the regulatory authority are working to ensure that fixed and variable electricity costs remain fairly and allocated. This includes reviewing legislation, licensing conditions, and regulatory tools to prevent unintended consequences that could undermine our goal of energy affordability for all. Mr. Speaker, this government remains committed to promoting clean, renewable, and affordable energy for Bermuda while safeguarding the interests of all ratepayers. The implementation of the Big SUI license strikes this balance, offering a path forward for large institutions in need of energy cost relief while maintaining regulatory discipline to protect the public good. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. I think last statement this morning is in the name of Minister of Tourism. Minister.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Department of Sport and Recreation has provided the government summer day camp programs each summer break for preschool, primary, and middle school age students for over 50 years. To facilitate these programs, the department works in conjunction with the Ministry of Public Works, the Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Health to ensure that the necessary facilities are secured and health guidelines are met. Mr. Speaker, as we approach the end of the school year, parents who cannot afford private camps will be stressed to find placement for their children. This often leads to children being left home alone in inadequate conditions. Mr. Speaker, last year on May 14th, 2024, the Department of Sport and Recreation released Camp Connect on their website, the government's proactive solution to increase camper enrollment and significantly alleviate the wait list. Camp Connect is a partnership with private camp operators to offer additional programs at an affordable cost to parents. Through this user-friendly interactive portal, the reality of these partnerships with private educational and recreational groups came to life. Mr. Speaker, Camp Connect is now the go-to hub for parents looking for comprehensive information on summer camps and an easier, streamlined registration process. Building on this, the department is pleased to share recent improvements to our government summer day camp program as part of our ongoing efforts to ease the burden on parents seeking safe and affordable summer options for their children. Mr. Speaker, the government has been able to increase capacity. An additional 540 spots have been made available over the summer break for this year alone, offering over 4,000 spots for children to attend camps this summer. Mr. Speaker, the government has also been able to extend the camp duration. Camps will be available between June 30th through September 5th, 2025. The duration will vary between camps, so I encourage everyone to visit the website for availability. Mr. Speaker, the government has also been able to expand variety. A broader section of camp types is now available, ensuring diverse and dynamic experiences. We have added 11 new camps to the site, offering 40 camp experiences. Users can navigate by category of interest or by the zone of the island that they live in. We are extremely grateful to all of the camp operators who are part of the program this year. Mr. Speaker, here's what everyone has been waiting for. On Monday, May 12th, 2025, at 9:30 a.m. sharp, the registration link for Camp Connect will go live. All camps listed on the portal will remain at last year's affordable rate, Mr. Speaker, of $60 per week, per child. Please note that online payments can only be made once registration has been approved. Parents and guardians are encouraged to visit our website. It is www.sports, that's with an S, and rec.bm ahead of time to explore the available camps and decide which experiences they would like their child to enjoy this summer. Mr. Speaker, Camp Connect is designed to make summer planning convenient and hassle-free, ensuring that families have easy access to safe, enriching, and affordable summer programs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Members, that brings us to a close of the statements for this morning. The next item on the order paper, reports of committees. There are none. That leads us, members, to the question period. And as this is the second Friday in the month, the first part of question period is the Premier's question. And I haven't been informed of any questions for Premier this morning. There are none? There are none? Opposition leader, you have a question for the Premier? Let me just start the clock for this. What's your question?
Yes, thank you. Would the Honorable Premier be able to specify why the delays in the development or the maintenance of the roads have been occurring so consistently?
Mr. Speaker, I think that we just had a statement on that, and I think the Minister of Public Works and Environment
gave a full update on these particular matters. But on a broader context, Mr. Speaker, I would like to remind the honorable opposition leader that we have returned this country to a balanced budget. And that has required significant sacrifice. As I mentioned in my budget statement last year, we recognize that some of the things that have to, in many times in areas, be cut back in historical spending terms are in capital works. And that has not been going on just the last 7 years. That has been going on, as I mentioned in my statement, since 2010, with the requirements and financial discipline to get us back to the space of a balanced budget. But it is important to note that this government has increased capital spending significantly over the past 3 years, prior to us even achieving a balanced budget, made the decision to delay the achievement of balanced budget to invest more money into capital spending, recognizing that we need to make sure to invest in order to grow. So I think that the honorable member would be, the honorable opposition leader would be aware of what the honorable minister for public works had shared. And I'm certain that during the question time to ministers, there'll be more on this particular topic. And I'm sure the minister of public works will be happy to give further updates to members at that time.
Supplementary?
Yes, I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Minister Premier, for his response. Given that the Honorable Minister and across the island, we've been hearing about delays in road works for a number of reasons, including delays because there are parties to the roads, developing the roads, who are either late or they're not paying bills in a timely fashion. I believe the Honorable Minister spoke to something about working together with multiple parties. What is the plans for this government to update the regulatory framework governing the chipping up of our roads and putting it back properly?
Premier?
Mr. Speaker, I'm happy for that question to be addressed to the responsible minister. I'm not exactly certain, and I can't answer that off topic, but what I can say is that I think, as the minister reported, we are working with the other entities to ensure, and sometimes that means delays, unless the honorable opposition leader would like us to, pave a road and then have someone dig up the road to repave the road after that. I do not think that makes sense. We are trying to handle this in a particularly efficient manner. And so I'm certain that if there's further updates and specifics that he wishes, I'm sure that his shadow minister of works can find the time to meet with the Minister of Public Works to discuss these particular matters, or to submit a specific question on that particular topic, or to possibly actually have a debate on it.
Second question?
Was it supplementary or?
You're supplementary on it. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And I thank the Honorable Premier for his response. I think what we're trying to get to is the accountability aspect. What we're hearing is that these roads are in a poor state for a number of reasons, and some of them relate to the accountability of people in their working on the road. And my question is, how are they going to be held accountable on a going forward basis where they fail in their obligations, and that results in even poorer infrastructure for our road users? Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate where the honorable opposition leader is going, but the reality is that road works and infrastructure are complex that regard on a lot of different things. There's lots of moving parts, whether you're dealing with Belco, whether you're dealing with Wetlands and Waterworks, whether you're dealing with Digicel, whether you're dealing with One, etc. There's work insofar as coordination. As I said, if the honorable member wants to speak specifically on that, I'm sure there'll be plenty of time during the 4 hours that have been allotted for the public works debate during the committee of supply to discuss those particular matters, should his members wish to ask questions in advance on that, and so we can actually have a detailed discussion on those particular matters.
Second question?
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My second question relates to the increase in violent crime that the Honorable Minister Weeks attended a memorial yesterday, and the Honorable Member, Mr. King, Shadow Minister, attended it, and this is in your neighborhood, Mr. Speaker. These are obviously sad events, and what I would like to know is, what is the government's immediate action plans? We know of their strategy overall. Have these events changed those strategies? What is the government's new immediate action plans to resolve these clearly heartbreaking matters?
Premier?
Mr. Speaker, violent crime is without question a concern for all of us in this honorable House. And it is something that I know that the Minister of National Security, and whether or not with Government House, who has responsibility for enforcement of the police, take seriously. The government has put significant additional resources into not only supporting the work of the police, upgrading the technology to detect crime, to help persons to investigate, to bring perpetrators to justice. And in addition to that, Mr. Speaker, making significant investments on matters related to what is necessary to deal with the root cause of crime, whether or not that be mental health, trauma, counseling, family interventions, and those things to break the cycle. Mr. Speaker, those works are ongoing. That work will continue. In regards to the specifics on the implementation plan for the the National Violence Reduction Strategy, that implementation plan has been prepared, and I'm sure that the Honorable Minister will share it with this Honorable House in due course, most likely very soon in this budget session.
Yep. You have a third question or supplementary?
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker. Yes, it's I didn't quite get the specifics on that. I heard a lot of explanation about intent, but my question relates to: is there any specific measures this government's going to take, especially around the area of funding of policing, or anything that's going to? Has anything changed, or are we on the same glide path? Are we going to keep doing the same thing?
Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Member would know that there's been significant additional funds, whether it was through the mid-year review or also during this budget, which we'll be debating shortly, in regards to additional funding for the police. It was stated inside the budget statement. It was stated inside the mid-year review. I think there was a passing up rate of 17 new police officers yesterday. There's continued money. Sorry, how many? 22 new additional police officers just yesterday, Mr. Speaker. So I know that he's trying to make a suggestion that things are continuing as normal, but we are putting the resources in place. But it is also not just the human resources, Mr. Speaker. It's also the investment in technology, which is necessary. And it is also, you cannot enforce your way out of a particular issue. That is why it is around community solutions as well. That is why there's additional money that is going to community clubs, additional money that is going to helping agencies, additional funds that are going to the supporting bodies around this, which we've discussed in this House, which we unveiled in the mid-year review, which have been funded in this year's budget. And we'll look forward to hearing the reply from the budget to see whether or not these additional funds that we have invested are supported by the opposition, because the only way that you can make an impact on this is to put the resources in place. So things are not continuing as usual. We are putting additional resources in place, and I'm certain the Honorable Minister of National Security will be happy to speak more on those particular matters should there be a specific question from their shadow minister.
Supplementary, you have a second sub?
No, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Third question?
Third question, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. There was some news coming out of the United Kingdom recently that Bermuda had missed a filing deadline relating to the development of beneficial ownership registers. And I know that we are preparing for our Financial Action Task Force assessment with international money laundering norms in 2027, I believe, the field work. Would the Honorable Premier be able to speak to the preparations for that, and have any other deadlines been missed in coordination with that project?
Premier?
Mr. Speaker, I thank the Honorable Opposition Leader for his question. As has been relayed to the United Kingdom government, we are in the process of making sure we get this a particular legislation done. It is currently being drafted. It is not, and so far as a deadline, this is a United Kingdom deadline, not an international deadline. The international deadlines for the Financial Action Task Force are not until 2026. We have always stated that we are going to be implementing legitimate access registers of beneficial ownership in line with our commitments to the European Union. The commitments to the European Union are not set to come into place until 2026 or 2027. This has been communicated to the United Kingdom on a number of occasions. The United Kingdom has their own view, but the Bermuda government takes the position that we are going to implement these items in line with international norms to ensure that we are putting ourselves in a place and a space that is in line with our major trading partners on this particular matter, which is the European Union.
Supplementary?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Honorable Premier for his reply. Just some questions relating to, especially around the view of the United Kingdom. Will the view of the United Kingdom impact our ability to continue servicing clients in our international financial centers in any meaningful way, or is this quite an arbitrary thing?
Mr. Speaker, it will have no impact on the work of which we're doing going forward. As has been stated on numerous occasions, we take that we in this honorable chamber have that supremacy over our domestic rules and laws related to this. The United Kingdom has its views and wishes, as has been expressed by Parliament, but I think that all members on both sides of the House should stand that we should be the ones that are responsible for setting the laws for our country and not the United Kingdom Parliament.
Yes.
Supplementary?
Yes, thank you. Given the relative arbitrariness of this deadline or this option from the United Kingdom, what, if any, impact to Bermuda will we face if we don't comply with some of these matters that are arising both internationally and from the United Kingdom?
Mr. Speaker, this is not a matter of deadlines. This is not a matter of anything outside of the fact that the United Kingdom and the new government has put a particular focus on a matter of which they say is something that is important to them. All governments will go ahead and implement their international commitments based on the times which work right and best for them. All overseas territories did commit to look to have legislation in place by April. We're expecting that legislation will be tabled during this particular budget session in the future to work through these particular matters. But what we are going through on the realm of beneficial ownership is number one. As has been stated, we are moving the dual vetting. So all beneficial ownership vetting upon registration is moving from the Bermuda Monetary Authority over to the Registrar of Companies. So there is one space of vetting. This is something that has been long desired, and that is the first step. The second step will be the implementation of the Public Access Register and then the definitions about legitimate interest based in line with our European Union partners and the commitments of which we've made to the European Union in line with international guidelines, which are set by the Financial Action Task Force and not by the United Kingdom.
There's your two subs. Okay. Then you asked all three questions. The next question on this morning is MP Deal. Would you like to put your question to the Premier?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can the Honorable Premier elaborate on what steps the government has taken to increase competition in the banking sector and to make mortgage transfers easier for Bermudians?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate the honorable member's question because I know that this is a matter that is important for her, something that she raises in caucus on a particular basis. Mr. Speaker, what I can say is that one of the biggest frustrations that are expressed by Bermudians are the lack of choice in banking and often the high costs in borrowing, especially when it comes to mortgages. And so the action of which we have taken, Mr. Speaker, certainly was one of the things that we did in addition to our mortgage guarantee program, which helps a certain segment of the population. We recognize that there is a broader segment of the population that needs to be helped. And that is the reason why we eliminated the tax or the stamp duty on the transferring of mortgages to ensure that there is greater competition inside of the domestic banking market. What we have seen is the response, certainly from the banks on that, and we have seen that competition taking place. And I would urge and remind all persons who are listening and all honorable members when they are faced with their constituents who come to them with questions regarding high mortgage rates or the fact that mortgage rates are going up or the fact that when mortgage rates are going down overseas, their bank has not reduced their rates, to please make sure to know that they have options to shop around. What we have also done, which was announced in the last Parliament, Mr. Speaker, is that we have also had an agreement with banks that they are going to roll into all of those particular costs, which may be other closing costs, into that refinancing to ensure that persons do not have to pay upfront costs to make sure that they refinance these loans. And we know that families are saving money and the banks are doing this work. And I would encourage those banks who are not engaged in the practice of reducing their rates to make sure they go ahead and reduce them. And also, I would encourage anyone who is carrying a high mortgage rate to go to your bank and ask for a lower rate. And if they are not prepared to do it, tell them that you're prepared to switch. We have heard many stories where persons have gone to their bank has said no, they've gone to another bank, the other bank has said yes, they went to their bank to say I'm moving my mortgage, and that bank that they had their mortgage with who told them no the first time has then reduced their rate. It is important that we have competition. We are doing the work on our side, but it is important for members and citizens and honorable members here to let their constituents know how they can be assisted through the law changes that we have made here to get lower mortgage rates.
Thank you. Supplementary?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank the Premier for that answer, and I know that it'll be welcome news for my constituents. Honorable Premier, do you believe it's really having the impact that you intended at this point?
Here's what I would say, Mr. Speaker. I would say that it is having an impact, but we would like it to have more of an impact. The government has put money behind this insofar as advertising on local news and others. It is something that I know that we have shared, at least on this side of the House. I know our members and our MPs have shared that. I would hope honorable members opposite would also share that in their canvassing as well. And we've seen the impact. We know that one particular large local bank had a full campaign on trying to get persons to transfer their mortgages. And we do know that other banks are trying to respond as we're trying to promote a more competitive market. I have heard from persons, as I had stated in the previous answer, who have seen that impact. And so I would encourage consumers to know that they have the ability to shop around. And I have no doubt that the Honorable Minister who has responsibility for housing, in addition to the Honorable Minister who has responsibility for home affairs and the cost of living and consumer affairs, will continue to support the Ministry of Finance in trying to get this message across. There are options for consumers. We are making the banking market more competitive, and consumers must do their part to take advantage and to go to their bank and ask for a lower rate. And if not, be prepared to move to a different bank. If you have good credit, you will not have an issue moving and getting a better mortgage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a second sub or you're done?
Thank you.
Thank you. The next member who has questions for you, Premier, is the MP Decuto.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. We learned through public statements of public companies at year-end 2024 that the OECD may not accept our current, let me rephrase this, our CIT legislation allows companies to write down certain deferred tax assets over 10 years, 10% a year. And we learned through certain public statements from public companies that the OECD minimum tax policy may not allow, other countries may not accept the full amount of that write down and may only allow up to 20% over 2 years. So my question to the Honorable Premier is one, what is the, let me rephrase that, Mr. Speaker, as one question. Does the government have any plans to adjust our legislation around the corporate income tax to become consistent with what seems to be this new ruling from the OECD?
Mr. Speaker, I'm not entirely certain how to answer that question. What I'll say is that the government will make sure they do everything to remain in line with our international obligations under corporate income tax. There's been many times that we brought legislation. There's future legislation that is expected to come to this honorable House, and we will continue to press along with that particular matter. And so I know the honorable member has some knowledge on that. If he has specific questions that would probably not be discussed in the public domain, I'm happy to have those conversations. These discussions are sensitive, but when legislation is brought, we'll have plenty of time to discuss and to debate those particular matters. And I know the honorable member, given the fact of where he works, knows how sensitive these particular matters are.
Thank you. Do you have a supplementary?
Yes, supplementary, Mr. Speaker. Today I'm working for the people in this chamber, and where I work, I wear a different hat, and there's quite a bright line between those two for the listening public.
Yeah, you can tie it into your
My
question.
specific question would be, is my understanding is that companies that take advantage of our 10-year and 10% per year deferred tax assets rule here in Bermuda may be liable to pay top-up taxes in other jurisdictions. I can see how that might be not as efficient as we would have hoped, or in keeping with the original aims of when we created our corporate income tax. Does the government have any specific plans to adjust our legislation to make it as streamlined and consistent for the Bermuda's corporate income taxpayers? Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Speaker, when it comes to our corporate income tax agency, our corporate income tax legislation, we will continue to work with our international business partners, as we have throughout this process, to ensure that Bermuda remains competitive in a jurisdiction. In regards to specifics, I'm not going to discuss future specifics, which may or may not happen during Premier's question time. And the honorable member wants to set up a meeting with the corporate income tax agency and to discuss those matters. I'll make sure to arrange that particular meeting for him.
Second sub? Oh, yes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the government have a view on how the changes in OECD policy may impact our CIT income? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, the projections that we've laid out have not changed, and they have not changed since we've laid them out in 2024, despite how many questions, times, or imputations that the honorable member may have. Those measures were set out as an estimate of $750 million on an annual basis, and they have not been adjusted since then. And there has been no information that will say that those matters should be adjusted.
Those are your subs. Your subs.
I do have a point of information,
Well,
if you would indulge. No,
Well, it does allow for a point of information. Now, you asked your question in your two subs, so I'll move on. The next person that's on the list is MP Wilmot. Would you like to put your question?
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. We have not had any updates on the mortgage guarantee program since last year. Can the Honorable Premier please provide an update on the program and how many Bermudians have been assisted through this initiative?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the honorable member for his question, and of course, welcome him to his place in this honorable house with some big shoes to fill following the retirement of MP and Minister Colonel David Birch. What I would say is, Mr. Speaker, is the mortgage guarantee program is a source of pride for this government. It is something that I remember at the time of its introduction, it was ridiculed by the other side as electioneering and as trying to hand out and putting the balance sheets of the country at risk. But here's the thing, Mr. Speaker, we stand up for home ownership for Bermudans in this country. And here is the good news that I can reply to the honorable member for constituency 27. You're getting excited there now. I see. You're getting excited. Here's the good news, opposition leader. You can hear this too, because maybe some of these people are in pageant as well. 74 Bermudians are either closing or their new homes or receiving mortgage approvals to actually look for a home. And that means, 74, Mr. Speaker. 74 Bermudians who would not have been able to get on the property ladder are on the property ladder due to the work of this progressive Labor Party government. That, Mr. Speaker, is fairness in action. Since the last time an update was given in November of last year, there are 22 more Bermudians. So that's, we reported it at 52 at that time. Now it is up to 74. So 22 more persons have benefited from that program, Mr. Speaker. Inside that number includes 3 who have taken advantage of the refinancing opportunity under the mortgage guarantee program as well, Mr. Speaker. This is clearly a benefit. This project and program is working. And I will state, Mr. Speaker, that there is additional capacity for more. So if you are a first-time home buyer, if you're looking to be a part, please contact the Bermuda Commercial Bank. Find out if the mortgage guarantee program can work for you. And if you are a public officer who is looking to refinance their mortgage, also make sure to go ahead to the Bermuda Commercial Bank and avail yourself of that opportunity, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Do you have a supplementary?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. It's good to hear the great number of Bermudians that have this program has helped. Excuse me. Sorry, a little nervous. Can the Honorable Premier provide the further details on how this program has helped or has impacted the Bermudians regarding monthly savings and home ownership opportunities?
Mr. Speaker, I know full well that on Cedar Hill there's many persons who want to know about this, and I'm happy that the honorable member is making sure to put forward these questions during this time. Mr. Speaker, for many of these homeowners, this program has provided real relief. And so, Mr. Speaker, as a reminder that prior to this program, average down payments were 20%. This cut that down payment in half to 10%, Mr. Speaker. In addition, we know that interest rates in the open market were between 7 and 8, sometimes 8.5%, and the program was at 5%. And so for those persons who are doing, for instance, a $600 mortgage, that is a savings of $550 a month. For $1 million mortgage, that exceeds $700 a month. And so, Mr. Speaker, that is significant money. You add that up for a year, that's up to just under $10,000 a year, Mr. Speaker. So these are real savings that are impacting Bermudians due to this government's policies on promoting home ownership.
Second sub, or you're complete?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. There is always a risk with guarantee. Can the Honorable Premier share any details as to the performance of those who have benefited from this program?
Mr. Speaker, I thank the honorable member for his question. And here's what is important to note. The Ministry of Finance does get a report every month on the performance of the guarantees that have been placed because, of course, the government is guaranteeing this mortgage. And I can state, Mr. Speaker, that out of all of the mortgages that have been issued and purchased in their house, there is not a single Bermudian who is delayed or late on their payments, Mr. Speaker. That means that this project is working, and it probably is also a contributor to a strong economy.
Okay. That's your completing of your question. The next member who has a question is the Deputy Opposition Leader. Would you like to put your question?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, would the Honorable Premier be able to let this House know whether he's received any feedback from the retail sector since the announcement of increasing the duty relief for people coming through the airport seems to be aiming towards the direction of more Bermudians buying overseas rather than buying Bermuda?
Premier?
Mr. Speaker, whether or not we've had specific response from the retail sector, I can't state. I know that the Chamber of Commerce had put out a statement speaking on this particular matter, raising some particular issues. What I'd like to remind the honorable member is that that duty rates increase was the first increase in 13 years. I do believe that it is good time, and certainly some persons may say overdue, as you want to try to make sure you do these things a good time. But I think it is also important to remind the honorable member of the significant amount of tax reductions that this government has given to the retail sector in its time in operations, continuing to reduce payroll taxes for the retail sector as we did in 2023 and in budgets before that, Mr. Speaker. So we will continue to support the retail sector, but it is important to also recognize, note, and understand that in Bermuda, which I know, and certainly close to the honorable member's heart, Bermuda is another world. But we are in many ways, shape, or form in the same space and place as other jurisdictions where we're dealing with the change of the retail landscape. And it is important that we adjust, and it is important that the government supports that adjustment. If the honorable member would like to recall our election manifesto and the conversation discussions that we had around that and the debate in the throne speech was that it was a broader view and a relook in how we actually do assess customs duty overall. That is something that the Ministry of Finance will be taking on during this parliament, and I look forward to hearing from the Tax Reform Commission if they have any recommendations there. But I want the honorable member to be reminded that we have cut payroll taxes for retail establishments to the lowest level in memory.
Yep. Supplementary?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Will there be any consideration of changing or lowering the duty rate for the retail sector, considering that they're the ones that are hiring the Bermudians? As we continue to lower for people to buy outside of Bermuda, it's important that we're making sure, yes, retail is changing worldwide, but we have to take care of the retail that's happening in Bermuda, because a thriving city is what is going to help people to want to be here.
Mr. Speaker, we'll have many opportunities to debate a thriving city. As you would note inside the budget statement, approved residential scheme matters are being approved. We're advancing those particular items. There's more investment that we are taking place. The City of Hamilton plan, which I believe, if it was not tabled earlier today, which will be tabled in a future session in Parliament, which will deal with the removal of height restrictions in the City of Hamilton, looking to spur investments and doing further things. So I certainly will agree with the honorable member that we need to have a vibrant city. On the matters that he is speaking about, customs duty relief for retail sector specifically, it is important the honorable members know that the way that our customs tariff is currently constructed in line with international norms does not in any way or in the most cases discriminate between whether it is a retail person that is importing or a regular person that is importing. And as I had told the honorable member, and I know that he had taken a detailed look at the Progressive Labor Party's election manifesto, where it actually did commit to a review of the customs duty. And as I shared in a debate earlier, it is not something that I was minded originally to go down that road, but I was convinced by the members of my party that it was a good way to look. And I have said that it is inside of our election manifesto. It is something that we'll look at because absolutely we want to support. And so there's a question whether or not we cut customs duty overall, or whether or not it is that we look to make sure that we cut customs duty for retailers while also leaving a level in place for personal importers.
Thank you, Premier. Thank you, members. That brings us to a close of the Premier's question period. But now we'll start the next 60 minutes that takes us through the question period on other questions. This morning, we actually have written questions. So we'll start with the written questions before we go to the questions from the statements that were given today. The first question this morning and the written question is a written question that requires oral response. And that's from MP Dakota to Premier. Would you like to put your questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the Honorable Premier and Minister of Finance please provide for this Honorable House the number of staff planned to be employed by the Corporate Income Tax Agency when fully staffed according to its planned operating model, and the number of staff currently employed today at the Corporate Income Tax Agency? Do I put all three questions, Mr. Speaker? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Separately.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the current plan for the Corporate Income Tax Agency is to have a total number of staff between 30 and 35. The latest figure is 33 when fully staffed. The agency currently has 3 full-time staff and 1 secondee. They are in the recruitment process for 10 additional staff. That recruitment is set to conclude within the month, and there are ads that are set to go out for a further phase 2 employees, another 11 employees, taking the total number of persons up to 21. But the full complement is going to be 33, and the expectation is by the time that corporate income tax filings will take place in August, there will be 21 staff in place.
Supplementary? Supplementary.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let's see, if I heard correctly, there should be 21 staff by the end of next August. Well, when will the full 33 planned be attained? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, don't have an answer for that question, but I will look to try to set up a meeting with the honorable member and the head of the Corporate Income Tax Agency so he can pose all of his various questions at that point in time.
Yeah. Would you like to put your... Have a supplementary and put your second question.
No supplementary, Mr.
Second
Speaker.
question.
My second question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, regarding the pay rises for government employees as per the Premier's statement on 21st of March this year, will the Honorable Premier and Minister of Finance please provide this Honorable House the most recent version of the payment schedule as of today for back pay, as well as for when pay rises will go into effect for pay going forward? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, before I provide an answer to the question, I must make sure that I set the record straight, because I think that it is actually shameful. Yes, that is the word, shameful, that the Honorable Shadow Minister is imputing in the public, not here, that the government does not have the money to meet the commitments that it has made to the public officers. That is 100% and categorically false. He said it last Friday. He said it on the radio last Sunday. He said it in a press statement, and he continues to state it, and it is false, Mr. Speaker. And so I accept that. And what is most interesting, Mr. Speaker. You want me to sit?
Take your point of order, then.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The fact that payments are being delayed, Mr. Speaker, the Premier is misleading the House, because the fact that we know payments are being delayed must mean there was not money for them. There was only one conclusion.
He was giving you the explanation.
See, Mr. Speaker, I would ask, Mr. Speaker, that you would instruct the whip and also the officers leader on that side that when the honorable member puts down a parliamentary question and is waiting for an answer, to not then go in the public and speculate as to what he believes the answer is and why that case is, which is what he is doing, Mr. Speaker. So now, there we are. Now I hear a lot of chirping. But I hope they're ready for the answer. But I had to make sure I preface that, Mr. Speaker, because notice, the honorable member will take one and will make 22 without waiting to see whether or not the answer is actually 2. So here it is, Mr. Speaker. The reality is that, yes, this government came to an historic pay deal with our public sector unions, Mr. Speaker, not with one union, not with 2 unions, as has been done other times where we have one agreement with one union one day and one agreement with another union and another one and all the rest. We came to them all at the same time. Well, here's the facts, Mr. Speaker. You cannot process those changes in the system all at the same time. This has been explained, and that is the only reason why these particular matters are being staggered, as has been explained to unions. It has nothing to do with the fact that the government does not have the money to meet the obligation. So, to answer his question, Mr. Speaker, I will go ahead and lay out the schedule which has been communicated to the unions. April 2025, Bermuda Industrial Union, they're chirping. Do they want to hear the answer to the question?
Public want to hear you. The public want to hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. April 2025, BIU, and that is 2024 uplifts and back pay. May 2025, BPSU, 2024-25 uplifts and back pay. 2024 and 2025-26 uplifts and back pay. June, BPSU school principals and Bermuda Union of Teachers, of course, time at the end of school, because that is the time when there's also adjustments that are made to those things. We have to remember that there's actually people that are required to make all of these particular adjustments. And the one thing you don't want to do, Mr. Speaker, is get those wrong, which creates additional work and additional challenges as well. July 2025, pre-OA, which is the prison officers, and FSA, which is the Fire Service Association. August 2025, Bermuda Police Association and Regiment. September and October 2025, GHI and superannuation adjustments, which will be processed. And that is in recognition of the fact that we are, as stated in the budget statement, increasing GHI rates, in addition to expecting to pass public service superannuation reform changes. And those adjustments also need to be made in the system, so they are properly adjusted for all persons at that point in time. Going to 2025-26 for the persons who were done in April and May. Bermuda Industrial Union in November 2025. January 2026, Bermuda Public Services Union. There is a reason that you do not do these things in December, Mr. Speaker, because there's a lot of other things that are taking place. That is what is coming from the technical officers. And then going to February 2026 for ex-employees and ex-pensioners. Moving on to 2026-27 uplifts and back pay. April 2026, BIU and BPSU will be able to do it at the same time, as we're not doing multiple years of backlifts. In May 2026, we will do BPSU principals and BUT. June 2026, POA and FSA. And July 2026, police and regiment.
Do you have a supplementary for that?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That was very comprehensive. Very comprehensive. Very appreciated, Mr. Speaker. I have to say, if my employer gave me a pay rise and that was the answer, I would say you better get cracking on the computer, Mr. Speaker.
Do you have a question? A supplementary
Yes.
now?
Was this schedule provided to the various stakeholders in writing, i.e. were they fully informed as to this schedule at the time in writing? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, third question.
Does the Premier anticipate, third question.
Third
is-
question. You only have,
All right. Much appreciated, Mr. Speaker. That's fine. I will move to the third question. I believe we understand the point. Will the Honorable Premier and Minister of Finance please provide this Honorable House, Mr. Speaker, will the Honorable Premier and Minister of Finance please provide this Honorable House with the estimated government cash flows by month in calendar year 2025, broken out by revenue, expenditure, and capital spending, and in millions. Round numbers will be fine. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, as I supplied to you from Erskine May, that information will not be forthcoming. What I will state, Mr. Speaker, is the estimates of revenue and expenditure are stated well and clearly inside the budget book, which we'll be debating during the budget session. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, it is also important to note that this government does give quarterly updates on our financial projections, and we're happy to continue to do so.
Supplementary?
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, what I was asking for is not the estimates or the budget. I was asking for the cash flows, and I think anyone who runs a business appreciates the difference between those two numbers, Mr. Speaker. So I am repeating my question. I hope the Premier could perhaps explain why he's not able to answer that question. Thank you.
I remain by the answer provided, Mr. Speaker.
All right. Thank you. The next written questions this morning are from MP Fay to the Minister of Housing.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker.
Morning.
These questions have been provided in writing, and I'm satisfied with those responses.
So
Thank
you
you,
got
Mr.
your
Speaker.
responses?
Yeah.
Okay. We're moving on. The next written questions this morning were from MP Kennedy to the Minister of Works, and I believe those were also written answers. You've got your answers? Good. The fourth is from MP Smith to the Minister of Youth, Social Development, and Seniors. I should say Linda Smith, just to clarify.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker, and thank you. The question is, would the Honorable Minister please provide this Honorable House with the total cost to the taxpayer of 15-person delegation that attended the International Women's Leadership Conference in Dubai in March of this year?
Minister?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for that question. I first want to start by acknowledging the Bermudian women entrepreneurs and professional delegates who are listening out for the answer for that question today, who are taxpayers and went through a organized process for this partial sponsorship. Mr. Speaker, there were 6 women that were partially sponsored and not 15. And they were selected for the ministry's partial sponsorship. 4 women received $2,500, which went towards the cost of their airfare, accommodation, conference registration fee. And 2 women entrepreneurs also received partial sponsorship at the amount of $3,500 for their airfare, accommodation, conference registration fee, but they were also responsible for organizing the delegates to the conference and side events that also occurred within the conference. I just also want to mention really quickly, Mr. Speaker, that I have witnessed the women delegates who did attend the conference paying it forward and already providing educational sessions and informational sessions to our community already. And so I'm very proud of the work that they are doing. And they're doing this for free. They're providing information sessionals and educational sessions to entrepreneurs in Bermuda.
Supplementary?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. How was the composition of the delegation and the size of the delegation determined?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In collaboration with the project that we did with UNDP and UN Women, Mr. Speaker, the women had to have participated in the programming that was offered through that Building Back Equal project. And so it went out to all of those participants, and they had the opportunity to apply to be a part of the delegation. The funds, we had a budget that we stayed within, and that's how they were able to participate.
Further sub?
And one supplementary, please.
One
What has been the benefit to Bermuda of the participation in this conference?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think what I would like to share is the investment in its people. Mr. Speaker, these the women that attended are entrepreneurs and business women, and I already spoke about the paying it forward. I have also witnessed and been in sessions in which they are providing to our fellow Bermudians as far as information that they've learned from the conference in building their businesses, building entrepreneur opportunities, also information as it relates to organization and also self-confidence building and pushing your businesses forward. And so I've sat in some of these sessions and been able to see the work that the women continue to do after attending the conference.
Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to a conclusion of the written statements, written questions rather. Now we move on to the statements from this morning. And the first statement this morning from the Minister of Housing. Minister, you have members who wish to put questions to you in reference to that statement. First is from the opposition leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On a point of order, am I able to defer my set of questions to the Shadow Minister, Principal or Substantive Shadow Minister first, and then go after him?
First?
Yes.
Okay, your Shadow Minister. Minister MP Fay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Opposition Leader. It is, and it's probably the wrong time. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Minister for Housing and Municipalities made mention in his statement that there's a waiting list of 50 to 100 people waiting for housing at the Bermuda Housing Trust. Why is that number not definitive? Why is it 50 to 100? Thank you. That's question one.
Minister.
Because it's a moving target all the time, Mr. Speaker. It's a moving target.
Supplementary.
Okay, so supplementary on that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In terms of that waiting list, is the Honorable Minister able to provide statistics as to the waiting list for each of the 5 properties that come under the Housing Trust, particularly Hayden Park, Dr. Khan Park, Elizabeth Hills Park, Purvis Park, and Ferguson Park at the current time?
Minister.
I'll be happy to get in that information, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Supplementary.
In addition to that, thank you, Mr. Speaker, is what is the average waiting time for people looking for housing with the Housing Trust? And by the way, I understand that this is an independent housing trust, but it's in the statement, so I think we would like to have some answers to those if possible.
I'll be happy to supply that too, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Any further questions? This
Yeah,
will be your
thank
second
you.
question now. You
Second question. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in terms of choices of properties, are individuals on waiting lists just told which individual property they can go to, or is it something that's allocated to a specific property for a specific person on a list? Thank you.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would certainly think that the Housing Trust, when they receive applications, you will know, Mr. Speaker, that seniors will probably have a favorite place they would like to stay. And I would think that most of those are accommodated by the trust as they can and as places are available.
Supplementary.
Perhaps like the answers to the other questions, the minister could verify that for us in due course. I think that's the end of my supplementaries. I have one more question, Mr.
Third
Speaker.
question, yeah.
Can the Honorable Minister share for us as well the average monthly rent for residents? The statement made reference to the fact, quite fairly, that rents have not gone up, but what is the average monthly rent for each unit? Thank you.
Minister.
I'll be happy to give a detailed average monthly rental of all the units for the honorable member.
Okay. So the minister said he'll provide it for you at another time.
I appreciate that. Thank you, and I'll liaise with the minister in due course. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Opposition Leader, would you like to put your question now?
I would. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the Honorable Minister be able to speak to, I note that in his question, there's a waiting list again of 50 to 100 qualified seniors, and that the government intends to increase the number of senior housing units available before 2026. and we have a projection of 1 in 4 residents that will be over the age of 65 by then. My question is this the only housing solution for seniors provided by that the government plans to provide going forward?
Minister?
Absolutely not. The honorable member will certainly, he mentioned the statistic of which I am one. So the intent is, Mr. Speaker, not only to increase affordable homes for our people, but that also includes affordable homes for our seniors as well.
Supplementary?
Yeah, so would the honorable minister be able to speak to the other housing solutions that he raised that will be specific for seniors?
I will certainly do that as soon as I possibly can.
Another sub or a new question?
A new question, please, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Second question?
Second question. With respect to the minister's confirmation that the Bermuda Housing Trust receives no direct financial support, would the government be able, the minister be able to clarify the government's expectations relating to the rising maintenance costs that the housing trust will be incurring? In other words, what's government expecting the trustees to do about these matters?
Minister?
Well, you will notice that once you have a look at the financial statements, you'll see that the funding is there. But as I mentioned in my statement, the concern, as it is for all Bermudians with regard to any construction and maintenance, is that the concern is with the cost of materials and labor. And of course, you will know, you'll hear about it in detail in the coming weeks about what we plan to assist the country with regard to those costs.
Supplementary or third question? Okay.
Third question, please, Mr. Speaker. With respect to the minister's reference to new executive leadership and operational improvements at the trust, would the honorable minister be able to speak to how these improvements will reduce waiting times and give greater accessibility to low-income seniors?
Not yet, but that'll be forthcoming.
Okay. Supplementary? None? Minister, you also have Member Campbell. Would you like to put your question still?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In view of our aging population and the fact that the Bermuda Housing Trust has a waiting list, but before that, Mr. Speaker, I just want to commend the chairman and his board, as well as the employees, for doing an excellent job in getting another clean audit opinion. So in view of the waiting list and a growing and aging population, or growing aging population, has there been any meetings between the minister and the BHT with a view to creating or constructing more units for our seniors?
Minister?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before I answer that question, I'd just like to thank the honorable member Campbell, who just took his seat, because he was very heavily involved with Bermuda Housing Trust in the past. And from what I understand, he done excellent yeoman work, and I'd like to thank him for that. But to answer his question, yes, I have. I have met with the chairman, Mr. Barrett, and that was one of the things that we did discuss also. So as you will appreciate, being a new minister with a lot of ground to cover in that particular area, I will have information forthcoming in the very near future.
Okay. Supplementary?
That's it.
That's it? Oh, okay. Thank you. Minister, no further questions for you on that statement. Members, the next statement that have questions this morning is a statement from the junior minister. Junior minister, the opposition leader would like to put questions to you. Opposition leader?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And with respect to the honorable minister's admission that the 2020 actual reviews were completed in December of that year, but not tabled until May 2025, would the honorable minister be able to speak to the specific oversight mechanisms that failed that allowed this statutory omission to go undetected for 4 years?
Would love to be able to provide an answer. We don't actually have that right now. We're trying to figure out. It seems as though through the transitions, you would note that during 2022, there were some tragic experiences that did take place in the Ministry of Finance headquarters. There are some things that got missed. One thing was tabled, the CPF did come to the House. Remember, there's 3 actual reports. That one somehow did not. And it was not pointed out until we tabled the subsequent reports. And so I can't necessarily speak to that because, of course, there's a lot of persons that that were in the ministry that are no longer there. But it is not ideal, but it was raised the accountability mechanism of this House, and we have tabled and shared that.
Supplementary?
Yeah, sorry, second question, Mr.
Second
Speaker.
question, okay.
Yeah, I thank the Honorable Premier for explaining. Don't always get straight answers. Thank you, Mr. Premier. My second question is remedial. Given that there is currently an inquiry ascertaining what failed, when would we be able to anticipate any remedial action to ensure that it doesn't take place ever again?
Premier?
Mr. Speaker, there's no remedial action required. There was an oversight that happened. These things have not happened before, and I'm quite certain, just as we tabled the 3 ones this time, afterwards, the next time there's a review, we'll table those ones as well.
Okay. Supplementary or third question?
Yes, I'm sorry. Supplementary. Can I just get some clarification? So something that was supposed to happen didn't happen. Nothing went wrong, and we don't plan to fix anything. Is that the answer the Premier just gave?
No, that is not the answer I just gave, Mr. Speaker. The 2023 reports were tabled, and future reports will be tabled. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to do my best to not be more pejorative or as pejorative as the honorable member was. But if the honorable member, who I think may have been in the House at the time, know there were some relatively tragic circumstances that took place in the Ministry of Finance, and some of these things that happen are understandable. And I hope he would understand that as well.
Third question?
Yes, supplemental.
Second sub, go ahead.
Yes, so in industry, we call this key man risk. And what it is we have this in many companies where a person is so key to our processes that we often have to, in fact, ensure that person's life should something occur. So what I'm trying to get at is, and so my question is, given that the government clearly has some key man risk in this system, what are they going to do to ensure that when we have a key man risk failure again, that we don't miss our deadlines? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I have no change to the answer that was given. This was an oversight that has not happened again.
Thank you. That was your second question. You have a third question?
Yes, given that the reports were completed in 2020, and this is across 2 fiscal administrations, the key man risk clearly having been identified, there being no plans to remediate. My question is therefore, well, there's no plans to remediate. My apologies.
Okay, all right. Well, that brings us to a close of the questions for you, Premier, on that. We'll move on to the next statement that has questions, and the next statement is the statement from the Minister of Economy and Labor, and the question is from the opposition leader, and that's on your first statement, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Honorable Minister for his statement. With respect to his statement given that the Department of Labor began operating in 2023, but we're only going to formally legislate that with the tabling of this bill, and obviously when it goes through. My questions are: the department's actions between 2023 and 2025 undertaken, is there any statutory ambiguity or legal deficiency that could result in court challenges that this lawful authority needs to be given for?
Mr. Speaker, the answer to the question is none. The department was fully compliant with the laws that were enacted and enforced during that period of time. All documents were signed off by the person that had the statutory authority, which would have been the manager responsible for the labor relations section.
Supplementary?
Second question, please. Yes, thank the Honorable Minister for that reply. Any of those prior decisions, such as civil penalties, referrals, and union certifications, will they need to be reviewed for validity given this structural and statutory change?
Understood.
None, Mr. Speaker. As articulated, all procedures and matters that were followed were in total alignment with the law.
Supplementary?
No further questions. Thank you, Mr.
Further
Speaker.
questions? Okay. Thank you, Minister. There's also questions for your second statement. And again, the opposition leader, would you like to lead those questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. My questions are in relation to the late filing, specifically with respect to the minister's statement. Why no? I apologize, Mr. Speaker. I'm just looking through my notes here. The obligation to file the annual report comes under the Registration Births and Deaths Act, which requires publication within 90 days, and that obviously wasn't fulfilled. And my concern is about management and oversight, given that this is the second time I've raised to my feet to bring up the fact that something's late. These deadlines are not a matter of policy, it's a matter of law. Could the Honorable Minister please explain whether this breach was escalated to Cabinet?
Minister?
Upon taking over the responsibility of the Office of the Registry General, it was brought to my attention that we were late in terms of our submissions. Mr. Speaker, this morning I've apologized to this Honorable House. I'll endeavor to ensure that the reports are submitted in a timely fashion moving forward.
Second question, please, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Given that the deficiency was noted by the minister and he moved to correct it, what remedial action will the minister take now to structurally ensure that this mistake doesn't occur again?
Minister.
When we have a compilation of statistical reports, we rely on data that is sourced from multiple agencies and organizations. It's about having conversations with those agencies so that we get the primary data in a timely fashion. Oftentimes we are waiting for data for the full completion of the report. So you may have 80% of the data that you need to complete a report, and you're just waiting on an outstanding 20%. And sometimes that can hold up the process. Instead of sending out multiple reports, which will be a preliminary report of the data, and then a secondary one when you get all the information. We've made the determination that you submit one complete report for that particular year. And so being mindful of that, not all of it is on the shoulders of the employees within the Registry General's department. But again, we will ensure that we seek to be more proactive in our data collection so that we have timely reports according to the legislation.
Thank you, Minister. Supplemental.
Yes, please. Yes, thank you. And I thank the Honorable Minister for committing to adhering to these legislative deadlines. My question goes down to accountability, where the Honorable Minister just explained that there are people who are not providing their necessary reports in a timely fashion. My question is, are the right people being held accountable for performance failures as it relates to facilitating this process?
Thank you, Minister.
I wouldn't categorize it as performance failures. There are a number of reasons why data is not compiled in a timely manner and submitted. Some of these organizations are external to the government of Bermuda, and we have no control over their internal processes. And so what I will say is, to the extent that which we can control our processes, we'll make sure that we are expedient and efficient in our delivery of outcomes. But there are times where we're waiting on data. And when we look at the period of time in terms of waiting on data, we did have we had challenges across the board in terms of even classification of deaths, that we were waiting for medical doctors and things of that nature to sign off on reports. That has been well discussed in this Honorable House as pertains to some challenges we've had surrounding that. And so not all of them are attributed to staff. They don't mean that you have to be punitive or disciplined as it pertains to one's conduct. I think the public simply wants reports that have accurate and timely data, and we will endeavor to get the public that information.
Thank you, Minister. Second supplemental.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Would the Honorable Minister, and I thank him for his answer, just clarify that there will be no remedial action taken on as it relates to the discovery of this failure?
Okay, just comment. So do you have a third question?
Sorry, that was my question. There will be
Oh,
no.
so you had no second supplemental.
That was my second supplemental.
So do you have a third question? No?
Sorry, no.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other persons? I think it is Pearman, MP Pearman. Were you asked? MP Pearman, did you have questions for the minister? Yes.
Yes, Madam Deputy
Yes.
Speaker. I wasn't sure if you wanted to answer the last one or not.
He didn't pose a question. He made a comment. Yes.
Point of order. Just a point of
What's your point of order?
is that it was a question.
Okay, well, you didn't ask it like a question. So
Oh, I
can you repeat the
apologize.
question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes. Would the honorable minister be? I'm sorry. Would the honorable minister be able to confirm that no remedial action will be taken? Question mark.
Okay. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister can confirm that we will ensure that we provide timely and accurate data.
Thank you, Minister. And any supplementals today? No?
Actually,
Member Pearman, it's your turn.
Yeah, well, I have a supplementary
Oh, you do
to
have
that
a
question before my
supplemental to that
question.
question? Okay.
Given the answer just given by the Honorable Minister, when will we see the 2024 report, which is due 90 days after?
Thank you, Minister.
Madam Chair, the report indicates that we are in the process of submitting the 2024 report in the second quarter of this year.
Thank you, Minister. Now, is this
Yes.
another
No,
supplemental or
No,
your?
this is my
okay.
first question of the day.
Okay.
Madam, thank you. I thank the Honorable Minister for his statement on the annual report of the Registry General 2023 and for tabling this statement in this Honorable House this morning. The report gives a statistical figure of the Bermuda population of 63,356. I acknowledge that that is an estimate, and I acknowledge that the report indicates that's for the year 2023. In relation to your statement to this Honorable House this morning, and I quote with your leave, Madam Deputy Speaker, you say this, quote, "It should be noted the estimated population figures in the report only take into account registered births and deaths and not migration because it is not available. This means the estimates in the report are not indicative of the actual population levels," end quote. I know the Honorable Minister is by trade and by expertise a statistician. Would you agree with me that the estimate of 63,356 is far too high for the reality on our island?
Minister?
Madam Chair, according to standing orders, ministers are not to stand to this floor and give a matter of opinion. We are to provide clarity and factual information.
Yes. Thank you.
Supplementary?
Yes.
Does the Honorable Minister have other ways to achieve a more accurate population figure?
Minister?
The next accurate population figure will be provided at the conclusion of the 2026 census. When we get that 2026 census benchmark data, we will then include immigration and immigration tracking so that we have an ongoing number that is more accurate on a ongoing basis moving forward.
Okay. Thank you, Minister.
Second supplementary. Thank you,
may.
Madam.
Okay.
Does the minister himself and his department have a working figure that it uses for its calculations and determinations?
Minister?
After every census, there is a population projection that is actually provided to the public, and we publicly publish that population projection, and that will give a population for a decade moving forward. Understanding that there are also other documents that have population numbers contained in them, which will be the registrar's report and the digest of statistics.
Thank you, Minister. Member?
Yes, next supplementary, final supplementary.
No,
Second
supplement.
question.
Yes.
Yes, Honorable Minister. Does the Honorable Minister take a view on the published statistic from the Chamber of Commerce and its accuracy or inaccuracy as compared to the 63,000 figure?
Minister?
Unless population data takes into consideration accurate statistics regarding migration and emigration, then that data can't be deemed to be reliable.
Thank you, Minister. Member, do you have a supplemental or?
I do.
Okay.
And in light of the minister's answer just there, and indeed in light of his statement where he said, quote, with your leave, madam, the next opportunity of an accurate population count will be the 2026 census, end quote, which the minister just repeated to Parliament. Are there no other ways for the Bermuda government, and indeed Bermuda as a whole, to have a more accurate figure prior to 2026?
Thank you, Minister.
Madam Chairman, the statement says that the next opportunity for us to have an accurate population figure will be at the conclusion of the 2026 census. I then don't understand how one can ask whether or not we can get to a more accurate figure before the time period which we say the next opportunity for us to get an accurate figure will be the 2026 census.
Thank you, Minister. You have a supplemental?
Well, actually, it's a point of clarification if there was a misunderstanding.
Your
A
point
more
of
accurate figure
clarification?
than the estimate of 63,000, in case that wasn't clear. I wasn't saying a more accurate figure than the 2026 census. I mean a more accurate figure than the 63,000 estimate.
Thank you for your clarification. Do you wish to answer? Yeah.
It is the government's desire that we have accurate population numbers. I've looked into a number of ways in which we can utilize immigration statistics to get a better measure of what our actual population numbers are. I have come to the conclusion that it will be an exercise in futility to compile data based off of data which is not sound. As a result of that, the conclusion is that the next time we would have a more accurate population number will be the 2026 census.
Thank you, Member.
Second supplementary. Thank you,
okay.
Madam. Thank you, Madam Deputy Chair. Thank you, Minister. What figure is the ministry currently using for all of its determinations and decision making?
Minister?
Statistically, we rely on the population projections in conjunction with the births and deaths outlined in the Registry General's report.
Thank you, Member. Any further?
Last question.
Question 3.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Minister. In relation to your prior answer about the next most accurate number coming when we have the 2026 census, when do you anticipate that to commence and conclude, and when will we have that number, do you think? Appreciating it's a timeline.
Minister?
The 2026 census will commence in 2026.
Okay. Thank you. Any supplementals?
Supplementary, yes. Are you able to give a month within the calendar year?
A month within the year of 2026.
Prior to the release of the 2026 census, I'll ensure that I provide full details as to when interviewers will be in the fields, knocking on household doors to collect the necessary data to complete the census.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you. No, thank you very much.
Thank you. Right. That moves us to, I believe it's Member Keene who had questions for you, Minister. Member, you have the floor.
Morning, Deputy Madam Speaker,
Morning.
members of the House and the listening public. I have a question regarding the statement that was made in regards to marriages in 2023 were 310, and there were no same-sex marriages. The question I have is, has the law been amended to allow for same-sex marriages?
Minister?
The law is a matter of public record, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Thank you, Minister. Supplemental? Or new
For-
question?
For clarification, so if it's illegal to have same-sex marriage, it just seems a bit confusing to suggest there are no there were no same-sex marriages. It would be like me having a store that sells apples, and then someone asks me, how many chainsaws did you sell? It doesn't make any sense. The next question that I have is regarding the declining birth rates. That has been established, decrease of 43 or 9% over 2022, where it was 479. In 2023, it was 436 births. Understanding that a large number of Bermudians are leaving the islands and we have a declining birth rate due to the high, leaving Bermuda due to the high cost of living and lack of opportunity, has the minister and government now reconsidered its position on pathways to status, understanding that we're basically in a crisis state as relates to population stability? Thank you.
Minister?
Madam Chairman, no.
Okay. Next question or supplemental?
Supplemental. So there's no consideration. My understanding is that there is no consideration for pathways to status, regardless of our declining population.
Member?
Point
Okay.
of order. Point of order.
Your point of order, Minister?
Madam Deputy Speaker, this statement had nothing in it about pathways to status. So the honorable member is way out of parliamentary procedure.
Thank you. It has been confirmed that the minister's statement did not cover that subject material. So can we have a different question?
Thank you, Deputy.
Yes.
Madam Speaker. What I was referring to is we have a declining birth rate and we have persons migrating to other shores, which means that the birth rate continues to go down and persons are leaving. So the population is declining, and we understand the implications for the pension, for the cost of living, and other things. So the question is there a strategy in place to ensure that we have a stable Bermuda population by status or otherwise?
Minister?
Madam Chair, this government put out a full report as pertains to the challenges we're going to have regarding our aging population. The Ministry of Economy and Labor has been on the forefront of educating the public regarding this challenge, but also providing recommendations as to how we believe we can have a sustainable population level, and more in particular, a sustaining workforce. Subsequently to the report we put out regarding the aging population, we then put out a report in terms of retention of our local workforce, because we determined that based off our aging population, we needed to grow our local workforce. That particular paper had a number of policy goals and aims outlined in it as it pertains to how we can ensure that we have a sustainable workforce to sustain our economy and our aging population. And I'll encourage the honorable member to read through that particular report, because we are actively pursuing all of the goals that we had set out in that particular report.
Thank you, Minister. Supplemental to that?
Yes, Deputy Madam Speaker.
Okay.
So what we're basically to understand is that the population is now increasing because of those measures that have been put in place.
Minister?
I would say that the overall workforce in Bermuda is increasing. The statistics will show that our workforce is increasing year over year since the report was actually submitted. That report identifies that we need to ensure that we have retention and expansion of our local workforce. It has a number of goals set out there. In that particular report, the goals pertain to ensuring that local residents remain on island, attracting residents back to the island by ensuring that they have opportunities, and then also ensuring that we have a appropriate balance between the supply and demand of expatriate labor that's required in our workforce.
Yeah, thank you, Minister. Member, do you have any further questions?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us to the Ministry of Public Works. I think MP Cannoneer registered that he had
Yes.
questions.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. My voice is a bit hoarse, so. Yeah, yeah. On page 2, the minister mentions midway through, and I'll read the sentence. One of the key lessons learned in recent years is the importance of coordination. Paving a road today only to trench it next month is costly, frustrating, and counterproductive. As I recall, there has always been a coordinated effort in dealing with many of the stakeholders that actually do dig up the roads. Is the minister suggesting, when he says that's why we're working closely with the utility partners, is he suggesting that that coordination that was put into place many, many moons ago has fallen by the wayside?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, I thank the honorable member for his question. The reality is no, that mechanism has not fallen by the wayside, that there's a group of utility partners as well as the government and other stakeholders do meet on I believe it's on a monthly basis. Thank you.
Okay. Supplementary?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Supplemental would be then, why is this seemingly, when you say when the minister says paving a road today only to trench it next month, why are these things then happening if we have this coordination going on?
Mr. Speaker, as the term says, life happens. There are opportunities where things, despite our best efforts, still go awry. But it is important, and part of those meetings is not just where people trench, but how we can do the work better to avoid mistakes happening in the future. And that is part of the process of having those meetings.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now the sub?
Yes, second sub. Considering the answer then, and that these lessons have learned, can the minister then identify or highlight any new lessons, I guess, based on what's happening presently? Has there been anything that they have identified or highlighted that they were missing in the past that they are now doing with their current coordinations?
Two lessons, effectively how to better communicate exactly where we're going, get a more cohesive plan in place, but also in particular, one of the lessons learned, if you will, allows us to be able to have longer projections. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Second question?
Second question. Thank you for that answer, Minister. Second question. On page 3, sorry, just electronic here, I'm scrolling down. I'm looking for, okay, sorry, at the bottom of page 3, the minister mentions in terms of traffic signals and highlights Marsh Folly, St. John's Road, and then Crow Lane. These lights have been out for, I would imagine now, well over a year. Plus, maybe, and it does mention that we are some boxes or something trying to get to where it is here. Control cabinets are being. Why is this taking so long? It seems like it's been these lights have been flashing and out for forever. Why is it taking so long to get this stuff?
Minister?
No, not on the traffic lights. Always had traffic lights working. Yeah.
Mr. Speaker.
Always had traffic.
Mr. Speaker, I will endeavor to get the honorable member the answer. The specifics of why it's taking so long, I don't have with me in front of me. Thank you.
Supplementary, third question?
Yeah, no, considering that he can get the answer, I'll hold off on the supplementals.
No problem.
just to say that, yeah, it's been a long time. Third question, then I will go
Turn to
to,
your question, third question.
yes, I'll go down to page 4, where the minister talks about dates and the operational dates of the plant, asphalt plant. This has been an ongoing saga, in my opinion, where we said that it would be up and running in 2024 by 2025 April. Then it's been pushed back, and I think the reasoning was saying that problems with shipping and the likes, or according to the previous answer, life happens. We recognize that stuff happens. But then we had a new trajectory date of January the 2026 that we will have the plant fully up and operational. And I should clarify that April of 2025 was operational, then 2026 operational, and these are specific months, which I appreciate, which suggests that they have been working diligently in this area. But now this statement mentions that the first quarter, so it infers that it's January. You want January? Okay. He's going to say January. Yes, January, first quarter. January is in the first quarter. February is in the first quarter. March is in the first quarter. So they were very specific prior, but now we've changed the language to say quarter. So is the minister, based on this time frame, we're talking about several years now, is the minister fairly confident that the first quarter now, and I'll be checking in January to see if he has that stuff, he's fairly confident that we'll have it because, Mr. Speaker, I recognize why he's saying the quarter, because stuff happens. So is he fairly confident that in that first quarter, he feels, based on the past, that it hasn't been that way?
Minister, before you respond, let me just remind folks that it has gone to hour 30, but we've only got less than 5 minutes left on the clock. We'll run out to 5 minutes, then we'll break for recess.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And again, I thank the honorable member for his question. The short answer is yes, we are confident, and a great telling point of where we are, barometer of where we are. As I said in my statement, we are expecting the materials to arrive in July of this year. And so that will be a great telling to ensure that we are on target with our projections. Thank you.
All right. No further questions? All right. The next item that has a question would be the statement from, let me see, we may get that one question in. Didn't turn the page. Almost there. The statement for the Minister of Home Affairs. Minister, your first statement has a question. And MP Fay, would you like to put that question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
Mindful, we've only got 3 minutes left.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister made a statement that suggested that the Integrated Resource Plan had perhaps been presented at the conference. Can the Minister confirm if, in fact, the Integrated Resource Plan referred to in a statement was presented in any way at that conference?
Minister?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Bermuda has a current IRP and there is a proposed IRP. And so both were referenced in the conference, as the proposed IRP is now open to consultation, Mr. Speaker, and we have a current IRP that was initially confirmed by the regulatory authority. Thank you.
Supplementary?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. More specifically then, can I have leave to just read from the statement? CREF further provided a platform to share updates on Bermuda's clean energy progress, including our proposed integrated resource plan and the successes from the electrification of the public fleet. It would appear that the proposed integrated resource plan was presented at the conference. Yes or no?
So the proposed IRP is public document that is open, and it was discussed at the conference as such, as a non-confirmed document that is currently under the remit of the regulatory authority, managed by the regulatory authority, but out to public consultation.
Supplementary.
Thank you. And with that in mind, the last integrated resource plan was 2019. A new one is supposed to be published at least every 5 years. Can the honorable minister advise when the integrated resource plan as updated will be published in final form?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The ministry and the Department of Energy has full confidence in the regulatory authority to do its function. As you would know, operationally, there is a separation to safeguard its successes and its regulation. And so I have full confidence that they will be doing the necessary checks to ensure that we are able to publish a new IRP, or the proposed IRP will be confirmed in short order.
Thank you. Supplementary or second question?
Second question. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if the honorable minister could provide a breakdown of attendees and costs for attending the CREF conference, please.
Minister?
Sure. At the time in which ministerial travel is published, I will send you a personal note to ensure that it is done so. Thank you.
Supplementary. Third question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Supplementary, I would like to ensure as well that it's not just the ministerial travel, but also those information as accompanying the minister. I think the minister can answer who appeared with the minister at that conference.
Minister?
There was a full complement of Bermuda's energy sector to include the regulatory authority and its representation and representatives. Ministers present would be myself and members of the Department of Energy, as well as the
clock has
regulatory.
run out on us at that. So members, we thank you for your participation this morning in the question and answer period. Deputy, would you like to rise and have us break till 2?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I do ask that we now adjourn for lunch and return at
2 p.m.
2 o'clock.
Thank you, members. Members of the House now stands adjourned.